Do you love going to Broadway shows, but can't go now because Broadway's closed? Join tour guide Tim and Belasco too as they bring Broadway history to you. Grab your Broadway passport for what's in store on your Virtual Broadway Tour.
As the Broadway Theater District evolved over time, certain pioneers blazed a trail that navigated northward around the main thoroughfare of Broadway. After settling in Herald Square in the late 1800s, Oscar Hammerstein I led the migration of 42nd Street in the early 1900s. From there, the Shubert brothers picked up where he left off and in the 1910s began building a new centralized theater district around 44th and 45th Streets. In 1924, producer Martin Beck stepped forward with a new idea of where the theater district should reside, west of 8th Avenue. Beck purchased a plot of land and enlisted architect G. Albert Landsberg to help bring his theatrical endeavor to fruition. No expense was spared in the design and construction of what would be Beck's namesake theater, now called the Al Hirschfeld. The exterior included a long three-story arcade down 45th Street with dramatically recessed entrances in the Byzantine style. The interior was designed with Moorish features and an opulent ceiling overhead. With large-scale musicals in mind, the backstage area was outfitted with dressing rooms to accommodate 200 performers. And while it was beautiful, no other theaters followed suit, and to this day, it's the only Broadway theater west of 8th Avenue. Under Beck's personal management, the Martin Beck hosted many plays in its early years, surprising given its vast number of dressing rooms. Even with the theater's location beyond the fringes of the traditional theater district, audiences didn't seem to mind the extra walking to take in iconic plays such as The Iceman Cometh, The Crucible, and Dracula. The theater would eventually fulfill its original destiny as a musical house, with such landmark productions as Bye Bye Birdie, Man of La Mancha, Into the Woods, Grand Hotel, and the current tenant of Moulin Rouge. In 2003, it was decided the theater would be renamed for legendary caricaturist Al Hirschfeld to commemorate his 100th birthday. Hirschfeld, who became known as the Line King, had a knack for capturing the unique personality traits of everyone he drew and imbued emotion into every caricature. In addition to Hirschfeld's name lighting up the marquee, one of his self-portraits was immortalized in neon to grace the entrance to the theater. The illuminated sign portrays Hirschfeld dipping a pen into his brain as if he is an inkwell. Sadly, while Hirschfeld knew that the Martin Beck would be renamed for him, he died just 6 months shy of his 100th birthday and never got to see his name and caricature in lights. When Al Hirschfeld's daughter Nina was born in 1945, his sketches took on an entirely new twist. He hid his daughter's name in each drawing, often in the crook of an elbow, a wisp of hair, or the fringe on a shirt. Through decades of New York Times Sunday sketches, he created a weekend pastime for millions of readers who would search for the Ninas. Over time, he added multiple Ninas to his weekly drawings, but his avid audience became frustrated not knowing how many to look for. To compensate, Hirschfeld added a number next to his signature to alert his fans as to how many Ninas were hidden, a tradition that continued for the rest of his career. For those who didn't grow up seeing Hirschfeld sketches in the newspaper every Sunday, a gallery of his work was added to the mezzanine of the theater, exhibiting a portion of the vast body of caricatures created throughout his lengthy career. So, the next time you're taking in a performance at the Hirschfeld, we recommend heading up to the mezzanine to spend your 15-minute intermission counting all of the Ninas. Each Broadway show spends an average of $100,000 per week on advertising alone. Billboards, radio ads, subway posters, social media, and more. Advertising campaigns are carefully thought out and planned to create buzz around a show. In 2013, Cyndi Lauper and Harvey Fierstein's Kinky Boots opened at the Hirschfeld to rave reviews. The advertising team for the show came up with a brilliant graphic of two red leather boots that form the K in the title of the musical. Interestingly, the Martin Beck had a history of boots in advertising, as Into the Woods used a large inflated Giant's boot over the marquee in 1987 to great effect. Utilizing this icon as Kinky Boots' main logo, they placed one on each of the columns of the entrance to the theater. When they stepped across the street to admire their handiwork, they were quite surprised to see that they had spelled out KKK. Needless to say, any connections to the Ku Klux Klan didn't really pair well with the drag queens in stiletto boots on stage, and the front columns were changed to display photos of the cast instead. Crisis averted.
Hello! Happy Saturday noon on Broadway. Welcome. Thank you for joining and spending a little piece of your Saturday with us. This one's, I think, going to be a really fun one. The person we have for you this week is a blast. And so I think you're going to have a good time with her. I hope you're going to have a good time with her. So thank you. Every week we come to you live with someone who has worked at the theater we're featuring that week as part of our Virtual Broadway Tour Series. This week has been fun facts, history from the Hirschfeld all week. I hope you've enjoyed those. And so we are joined by the incredible Ashley Loren, who is from this tiny little musical that I feel like you've heard of called Moulin Rouge. Have you heard of it? I feel like you have. And so we'll talk all about her life, all about Moulin Rouge, all things Al Hirschfeld. It should be a lot of fun. For those that aren't familiar with me or Broadway up close, where have you been? Figure your life out and get with it. No, my name is Tim Dolan. I'm an actor and owner of Broadway up close walking tours in New York City. For the last 10 years, our tours have unearthed secrets, history, fun facts, ghost stories, all the things you didn't know that you really want to know about the 41 Broadway theaters. I have an entire team that I call my green team that are actors and stage managers that are your windows and your eyes to the world of our insane theatrical lives. About a year ago, I opened a gift shop in the middle of Times Square, currently stationed just in front of Lion King with a 6-foot-tall Broadway sign of 150 light bulbs, spelling out my favorite word of marquee letters, Broadway. All of that is closed because of this thing that I feel like you've heard of called COVID-19. March 12th, 2020 was an interesting day in our lives as everything shut down. And so our entire gift shop now has been moved online, where you can find all kinds of things, Broadway gifts and things for the Broadway lovers or yourself for Christmas or the holidays or birthdays or Saturday. I don't know, live your life. In addition to our 5 exterior tours, in October, it was the biggest joy and gift of my life after more emails than I could ever admit to get this to happen. I finally got the keys to the oldest Broadway theater, which is the Hudson Theater. And we now officially, as of October, present our Hudson Up Close tours, which takes you inside the nooks and crannies of Broadway's oldest theater that's been there 117 years. For info on all of those tours, the 5 that are exterior are currently running socially distanced with a mask. So if you're local, you find yourself in New York City, join us for one of those. All of the info for all of those can be found at our website, www.broadwayupclose.com. You shouldn't look at that now. You should go and do that after we talk to Ashley and hang out with us for a little bit. I realized, once we got into this global pandemic, this shutdown for a while, that I was missing connecting with theater goers, missing seeing shows, missing seeing friends in the neighborhood that is our neighborhood of our college campus of Times Square. And so I thought, okay, this is insane. I'm insane. So this is perfect. We'll do 1 theater a week. It's 41 weeks. There's 41 theaters. And then we'll finish this and it'll be March of 2021. And then Broadway will be reopened. We know now that's not going to happen, but it'll get us at least a little bit closer. And as I've been saying, we're 1 day closer every day. So hopefully this Saturday will get you just over the hump of another week, another day closer. We are doing 41 theaters, 41 weeks, which brings us this week to week 22, the Al Hirschfeld. How's today going to work? For today's series, we're going to learn all about Ashley's theatrical journey, her time working at the Al Hirschfeld on Moulin Rouge. If you have any questions for her or me along the way, drop them in the comments and we'll feed those in live to her. And for those that are joining us live, hi, you should comment in the comments below with where you're watching from, because Facebook doesn't tell me those things. And we always love to know where our stories are going. And so happy Saturday. Without further ado, join me in welcoming Broadway's Ashley Loren.
Hello.
Hi.
This is so fun. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. Every day we're 1 day closer, you said. True.
I mean, truly, it's the most loaded question when you're like, how are you? You're like, let me see. We have a president who's like, maybe not going to be the president, global pandemic. I don't have a job, but it's great.
Yeah, but here we are.
Great. It's going really great. Look at your beautiful apartment behind you. You're in New York City?
Thank you. I am in New York. I have not left since March 12th. Yeah.
Like how
Yeah.
you are the only one. You're correct. You're the only one.
No, I can't be the only one. But I mean, yes, I am one of the only ones that I know.
But your plants look great. Your plants look well
you.
watered.
They're thriving. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your life. Okay, so for those who don't know about your life, give us kind of like the nutshell of like Ashley Loren pre-New York City. I don't think you grew up here, right? You're not from here.
No, I grew up in New Jersey, so not far. I was
close.
Adjacent.
Sure.
So I grew up in New Jersey.
Great.
Went to an all-girl Sacred Heart school called Stewart Country Day School of the Sacred Heart in Princeton.
Sure.
I did all the theater productions at school. I did community theater productions as well. And then I guess around 8th grade, I started sort of segueing into more of the pop thing. I started writing music. I was a part of a couple different girl groups at that time. I had signed some production contracts. And I think by the time I was in high school, I was like, I love theater, but I think I really want to do this pop thing. So actually right after I graduated high school, I ended up, I stuck my toes into some reality television.
You did?
And then I
Wait. Hard stop.
Okay.
Tell us everything. Tell us. We have all the time in the world. Tell us everything.
Okay. Yeah, some of it's a little bit embarrassing.
No, that's why we're here. I mean, only share what you want to share.
Oh, I mean, it's already out there, right? Nothing is a secret in the age of social media.
Correct.
But I did, I did Legally Blonde, The Search for the Next Elle Woods. I was like cut before the house, so don't worry, you didn't get any reality TV part. But
no, none of you on a treadmill.
Jersey butt on that show. And then I also was on season 8 of American Idol. And then shortly after that, I signed a solo deal with under Universal to Island Def Jam, and I sort of was traveling and recording and doing things like that. And then I guess a year or so after that, Jekyll Hyde, the revival, was auditioning for Broadway. And I had known Frank. I had done some community theater productions with his assistant, Nick, who is one of my best friends now.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually it's funny because it ended up being my Broadway debut. But Jekyll Hyde was the first show that I saw when I was a kid on Broadway that I turned to my parents and I was like, ooh, I want to do that, because Linda Eder was playing Lucy, and it was really every singer's dream, right? To sing those.
Come on.
I know. So for that reason, my Broadway debut in Jekyll Hyde was extra special because it was a show that I also had loved for so long.
Crazy. I've known you for so long and I had no idea. I don't think I knew any of this. I was like,
well,
here we are.
Broadway, Broadway.
All the new stuff. Okay. So for Jekyll Hyde, what was it because you knew Nick, so thereby inherently knew Frank Wildhorn, who wrote Jekyll Hyde? Was there in the audition process, was it a long audition process for Jekyll Hyde? This being, I'm just curious about the audition process for your first big show.
I don't really remember.
I was gonna say it was a long time ago, if you remember.
Yeah. What was it? 2000. I think we opened on Broadway in 2013, so the tour had to be 2012 into 2000. I mean, I do remember I was living in Jersey at the time. I moved into this apartment actually, like after, just as we had opened Broadway, and then closed shortly after that. But I was commuting from Jersey. I think there were, several auditions, maybe 5, 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you booked it, and then in the show, just ensemble. Did you have to cover anyone?
No, nailed it.
Good for you. Killed it.
Nailed it.
Check mark. You're like, I just show up to work and I sing my little butt off. That
no
sounds great.
Rehearsals, just.
And then you get to the Marriott Marquis after doing the tour for how many months? 6 months, 8 months?
7, 9, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you remember the first preview or opening night of Jekyll? I'm fascinated by people who are like, I don't remember it at all, and people who are like, I remember every step.
I certainly don't remember previews. I mean, I remember opening night only because I had people there, right?
Sure.
But couldn't really tell you much of what happened.
Did it feel like another tour stop because you had just done 9 months of tours?
It did. I mean, it was special because it was Broadway, but we had been doing the show for so long at that point.
Right. With the same group of people.
With the same group of people, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
we were together for quite some time.
And then it runs like 14 seconds and closes.
Yes. Oh, this is my cat, Mozart. Hi, bud.
What up, Mozart? He would love Belasco, who's passed out sleeping next to me.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so then Jekyll and Hyde is mixed in with this like pop artist thing. So does that set you on a journey of like, I'm going to try and do both of these parallel entertainment things, or what?
I mean, I don't think I ever stopped doing either of them in my lifetime. I think even when my main focus was my music, I was always sort of missing Broadway and live performance.
Sure.
And then the other way around as well. I mean, I just released another single yesterday, Friday the 13th, and a music video as well, which is mostly stuff that I had recorded before I moved back to New York for Moulin Rouge. Okay.
Oh God, he's like, let's send a quick email. Great.
To me. You've been 24/7 since March 12th.
Correct. Welcome to my life.
Yes.
Yes. So you released this thing yesterday. What is because I'm so not into pop music because I suck at that. What is that like is it like you film it and release it and this is like the big release, and then how does any of that work? How does one?
I don't know. I think we're as we go. I mean, for me, I had a lot of this stuff recorded. Again, I was living in LA before I booked Moulin Rouge, and I came back to New York for Moulin Rouge. And so it was never really the right time. And then I think I've decided in this last 8 months, there's never really a right time.
Sure.
The right time is now. You know what I mean? So the music was done. For the most part. Definitely my producer D-Mile has added some stuff to it in this time before the release. But Morgan Marcel, who you know as well, in Moulin Rouge, we all got COVID tested. We all had COVID. Actually, I don't think Morgan ever did. I think she was one of the couple that did it, not putting her business on blast. But we got together, and the only time I left New York City was to go upstate with some of the girls from Moulin Rouge to film this video, which we released yesterday on Friday the 13th.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's wild and exciting.
Yeah.
And I think I saw on social media a picture of you standing in front of a billboard of you in Times Square. Is this correct?
I did. Yes, I did. I've released 2 singles in this time, and I also released a cover song of Pray, Sam Smith Pray, that I also did a video with Morgan, where those proceeds go to the Actors Fund in Covenant House.
Wow. And how would one find any of this?
Well, you can go to my Instagram. It's @Loren.
Nailed it.
Simple. There's a link tree in my bio that has, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. It also has an extensive list of anti-racism resources that I've compiled over this time.
Yes.
Like some other links and stuff, but I guess Instagram would be the hub, and then you can, stream wherever you stream your music. You can also find some stuff.
Christina, who's watching, says she has so many songs. Oh. What a talent. Go listen. So amazing. Christina.
Oh, Christina, I love you.
We are on it. Okay, so you're doing this performing career. Somewhere in this, you're doing background vocals for someone.
Oh, yeah. So I sung background for Melissa Etheridge, Iggy Azalea, but most often with Rae Jepsen, who is amazing and has my journey with her has introduced me to so many important people in my life. So that's I'm one of the blessings I'm most grateful for is booking that job to begin with. SNL was the first job, and I'm grateful that she kept me and Ava on for so long.
Yeah, I'll never forget turning on Saturday Night Live and seeing you just like at a microphone, and you're like, I'm
know.
sorry. I'm sorry.
know.
Let's take a time out here. What?
Wild,
Killing it.
wild ride. Yeah.
Just killing it. Okay, so then this little thing drops into your life called Moulin Rouge. How does it happen? You're in LA. You just tell us everything. How does it happen?
Yeah, I have always been a huge fan of the movie, of the story, of the quotes, of love, of all of those things. Sure. And so when I heard it was auditioning, I was like, I need to go in for this. I had also played the role of Satine in a production in Vegas called Baz, which is a For the Record production. Baz was a part of it, but it was The Great Gatsby, Moulin Rouge, and Romeo and Juliet told in like one, sort of like Love Actually did when they took all these other storylines and made them work into one greater story.
Sure.
So that was Baz in Las Vegas. So I had been familiar with, and also we didn't sing, so like Elephant Love Medley was not in Baz Vegas. And like Come What May, and Come What May was not in Baz Vegas. There were like certain songs that were not a part of it in any way, shape, or form, but it was essentially the storytelling of one of the most epic love stories ever. So I had a strong attachment to the role. So when I heard they were auditioning, I was like messaging my agent, like, please. And I ended up auditioning several times.
Okay. In LA or here?
Here. I flew back and forth. I think I had like 9 auditions, audition sessions and things. Yeah. And it was interesting because I've, as you know, I did Jekyll and Hyde as an onstage ensemble member. This is my first sort of dance with offstage company, standby, principal standby. I had never done any of these things before.
Right.
And of course that audition process is much more grueling than the, ones that I've known before. So yeah, I mean, I think it was in the winter of 2000 and last year.
Whatever year,
2019. What year is it?
Correct. Where are we? Who are we? Great. Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy. It had been a minute since I had seen you, and I'm sitting on the subway.
Yes.
I don't even know when this was.
I feel like it was our first day of rehearsal.
It was the first day.
The first day, right?
It was the first day because I was on the one train going downtown. I was probably sleeping because that's what I do before a tour.
Yeah.
And I get a tap on my shoulder and I open my eyes and it's Ashley Loren. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And you were like, hey, what are you doing? Sleeping on the train.
Hi. I know, it's crazy. We hadn't seen each other in years.
But
it was sort of welcoming for me to like see a friendly face on the day that I'm like taking the train down to Midtown for my first rehearsal in such a long time. Also, I was a mess for the first couple of months that I came here. Like I flew here, I think maybe like a day or two before rehearsal started. And then like none of my stuff arrived. And then this is like a tiny studio, like 200 square foot studio. I had like a truck full of boxes that arrived at some point in time. I was like, just had a pathway from my bathroom to my bed, was like, didn't know what I was doing with my life, was completely overwhelmed, nervous about this new process, this big show, this show that had already existed. And I think that was what made the process also interesting for me personally, and probably for a lot of our other offstage company members who were new to the Moulin Rouge journey at that point in time too. So it was very sort of inspiring, but also like, oh, our first day of rehearsal is not like, let's figure this out. It was like, oh, this exists. So let's work on it. Let's polish it up. And it's an incredible piece of art from beginning to end. So to sort of walk into the rehearsal room with something that's already so beautiful, and then to be like, oh,
I get to do this sometimes.
Like completely overwhelming, but in the most wonderful of ways, but completely overwhelming. I don't think I've been more sort of filled with anxiety, and I am always filled with anxiety than I was when I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing. And I'd never been a standby before, so I didn't know what my relationship with Karen was going to be like. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to work this. I don't know how to do this. But here we are. We learned it. We did it. Nailed it. And then marched forward.
Yes, and then our lives ended.
Forever.
What was the first? Okay, so you make this epic entrance on this swing in this crazy costume coming down from the ceiling of this 1924 theater. Do you remember? I'm sure you blacked out, but do you remember the first time in front of an audience doing this?
It was all a blur. My first day on First Satine was a 2-show day, and I had not had a full proper put in. We had done elements. We had made sure everything was safe, but not in a way that was like, oh, here's how it goes.
Correct. And for those who are watching, a put-in rehearsal is really your one chance to do this moment if you're an understudy or a standby. And it's supposed to be like a rehearsal it's still no full orchestra, but there's a lot of elements that are there. The cast is all called in yoga pants on their day off. And so they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they're like, yeah, we didn't get a full put in. You'll be fine, right? And you're like,
right. So, I mean, I came in as early as I could that day, and sort of we made sure all the costume changes worked and everything. And I literally looked Aaron Tveit in the face, and we were like, well, because I had never done anything with him at that point in time. So the very first show that I did with him, that matinee, was our very first time singing together, doing the scenes together. Any of the principals, I hadn't done anything with them, and I hadn't done anything with the full ensemble either. So it was definitely a blur. And it took, the joy of it was that I was, able to sort of learn and grow with an audience. Right. But it's also a little bit scary when you're like, oh, okay, here's the rehearsal. What? But that's the beauty of live theater, of Broadway, is that, it's just, you get the opportunity to create magic and art, in front of people.
In front of people. Remember those people? Remember audiences? Those things? Trisha says, Ashley Satine is so beautifully crafted and truly spectacular. So apparently it either got better or it was great from the beginning, but apparently you're killing it.
No, you would definitely, you grow. That's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah. And did you,
everybody sort of takes their own journey.
Did you ever have that the scariest moment of a standby's life of a mid-show put in?
I have twice.
And how is that?
One was at intermission. They stopped the show they held intermission for a couple minutes for the switch. And then that was January 1st of 2020.
What a way to start the year. Happy New Year.
Right? I mean, happy to do it. It's my job. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I actually think it was less nerve-wracking for me in those moments than it was to go on for the first time, only because you go into a different mode where you're like, okay, we got this. Gotta go. You don't really.
Your brain doesn't have any time to mess you up.
Yeah. And then I went on another time. Karen had been sick for quite some time. This was pre-COVID, but maybe not. And she did the beginning of the show, and then she stopped right before firework. So that was a true. So she did.
Someone told me about this.
Oh yeah.
Because as you're talking, I was like, wait. I actually think I've heard this. I think someone was there who came on a tour, and they were like, this girl came on out of nowhere, and the other girl left, and the song she had to start with was Firework. And at the start of it, the audience was like, who is this? And they were like, 2 minutes later, they were like, who is this?
Oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh. I never really, gosh. And are you warmed up? Are you, you're like backstage eating popcorn.
I think I had done the matinee that day.
Okay.
So I hadn't taken off any of my makeup at all. At that point. So at least I was in a full beat. And I think they held for maybe 2-3 minutes after one of the scenes. My cat has found a a ball with a bell in it. Sorry.
Welcome to my life. It's basically the holidays. We'll call it holiday spirit.
Jingle bells. Yeah. So that was magical, but that's just, you have to be a team player in this industry, and most industries in life you should, but
right.
Those
crazy.
Things live theater so special.
Okay, so COVID-19, you guys were the first because you had a Thursday matinee.
Yes.
On the day it all shut down. So you guys were already, someone had tested positive. And so it was already kind of like, this thing's happening outside the walls, but I think here at the Hirschfeld, it maybe has already gone through the walls.
Right. I don't know that we had gotten any results back yet, but we had a couple company members who had requested to get tested because they were having symptoms and had called out that matinee. But I was on for that. I had been on, I think at that point, this was when Karen was sick. So I had been on again for like a couple days in a row. And you could tell like people were not, it was like allergies. Like, is it the weather change? Like what's happening? People were like, I feel fine. But like, then they stopped maybe a couple days before the stage door interactions.
Yeah.
Started. It's so long ago to think that like we didn't really have any sort of mask situation at that point in time. I remember that matinee because we had, what was it, a 2 p.m. matinee? So I was at the theater already sort of getting ready. Most people were sort of already in their process when they called the full meeting, and then they just made which was the smartest thing that they could have done. Right. Was to do that. But I also had that day, there were, I didn't know that I was going to be on that day, but there were like 20 students from my high school that were coming to that show. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on.
No.
Crazy. But I mean, it's wild, but we were Moulin Rouge set the precedent, I think.
Yeah. And then this is Tom, who we love. He said he had a ticket for that Thursday, March 12th matinee. He would have seen you.
Oh, yeah.
Tom. Okay, well, on the other side of this, you got to get your ticket. We'll figure it out. We got to figure out when Ashley's going on. It was why it all happened. What feels like so fast, and looking back, you're like, gosh, I mean, with owning a tour company, we had lots of tour operators that were like, what's happening in New York? Do you think it's going to be? And I was like, no, it's over in China, maybe Italy. It's Broadway,
Like, yeah, nothing can happen at Broadway.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's wild and wild. Really okay, so Tina had a question. So now that we're into like COVID-19 land, so what Tina's question is, I don't know. She had a great question, and now I can't find it. Okay, no, it wasn't Tina. It was Trisha. She says, "Hi, Ashley. How do you keep your creative spark during these times?"
Trisha, I love you. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And for quite some time, I was not feeling inspired, and I'm very grateful to have had the outlet of music in the past and through this time. But really, the first thing that I did was I was sort of inspired for our community, and I had already recorded a cover of Sam Smith's Pray at that point in time. And Morgan and I were talking, Morgan Marcel and I were talking, and we were like, what can we do that's like socially distant and safe? Manhattan was a ghost town at that point in time. And we were like, what can we do? What can we do? I was like, well, I have this song. What happens if we just like go to an empty Times Square and like record it? So I think that, oh my God. I think that was sort of my first moment of like, oh, I remember this feeling. This feels good. So that was beautiful. And then through that, Morgan and I just started being like, we need to join forces and collaborate more and find creative outlets and sort of be each other's, push or guide or partner in crime in those things. Cause these times it's really tricky. So I'm really grateful for her and her creativity and the fact that we can safely get together and do some stuff. But I mean, I think, I been focusing on my music in this time, creatively. I also,
You have to have something. I think I've been saying to people, it's whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's you just singing and whatever, there you have to, we all went from like living these crazy, insane, busy lives or doing 8 shows a week or having a million things on a full schedule to nothing. And as an artist, it like just leaves you kind of barren. And there's like this like loss. You have to like grieve the loss of it.
Mourning. Yeah. I mean, I still wake up some days and I'm in full mourning. Like it doesn't really get any easier. It just becomes something that you become more accustomed to, or you just are like, okay, well, this is what it is until. And I think the struggle is that we just don't really know when the until is until, like, we don't know how long, we don't know. I mean, I guess we have an idea, but you never know with the way everything's been handled. And
yeah, it's wild. The whole thing is really wild. Yeah, and you have to cut yourself some slack, I think. We all live in New York City, and we all have this, like, everyone else is doing things, and I've got to do things, and you're like, no, I think you can just, like, hang out for a minute.
That's an adjustment for a lot of people also. And there's also an adjustment when you have a job, when you're doing 8 shows a week, and on those days or those moments, you're like, I can just chill today, it's fine. And then when you don't have any sort of routine, trying to make a routine so that you can stay at least somewhat sane and be okay with, like, you know what, today I'm just going to read all day long. Today I am not going to look at my phone. Today I am not watching TV. Or today I am binging the entire series of, like, Ozark. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's allowing yourself to sort of feel all those things. I mean, I have done this year in general has been a huge year of therapy and inward and all of that stuff. And then the pandemic just sort of allowed for more of that time to actually look even further inward, and learn and unlearn and grow as a person, deal with like childhood traumas, deal with, like, you know,
everything,
all the stuff that you carry over into your relationships with, you know, significant others or family or friends or work or any of those things. So I think personally, I mean, I've sort of seized this opportunity to do that deep dive, because I think it's just so important.
And it'll be a glorious, from the audience perspective, it'll be a glorious thing on the other side of this to then see you as a maybe fuller human or a different human or bringing different stuff to Satine or whatever role.
I think everyone, I think if you're not sort of doing that deep dive in this time, you're probably doing it wrong. You know what I mean? I think we've been given such an incredible opportunity to do all of that. And to make the room and have the space and sort of do all of that. And I think it changes, I mean, everyone, the way people will move on stage, the way people will sing, the way the audience will interpret everything. I mean, she has consumption. I mean, between, like, consumption and COVID, and, you know, there's just the way people will interpret your art and the way that you're expressing your art and the emotions of everything. It shouldn't ever go back to being the same. And I don't think it ever will, you know? Right.
Yeah. And I think everyone, just once we get in the walls of these theaters, wherever it is, I think, we'll take it less for granted. I think being in large groups of people and communal experiences has been our everyday for so long that I think you get used to it. And you're like, no, I don't think we can get used to it. I think this is like a special moment to be treasured, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I could get emotional just thinking about, you know, returning to that environment.
Oh my gosh. The first time, I mean, you coming down and it'll be crazy. I mean, the whole thing will be crazy.
The whole thing, even just like getting together with a group of people and like creating art in a space with, like, you know, it's just, and also seeing the audience for the first time and interacting with people and stage dooring, like all of that stuff is, and just the ability to tell a story again on a stage, you know, or however you want to, you know, that's why I'm super grateful for the fact that I did this. I do have my music, and I was able to put something out and because it's really, really wild to sort of define yourself by certain things and then not have it anymore.
Yeah, it really is. And then for the rest of the world, in a lot of ways, most other industries are really starting to kind of either have navigated, figured it out, work from home, and start to get on a road to recovery. Where ours, they're like, we think it's going to be May 31st, but it's probably not going to be May 31st. See you guys never. And you're like, okay, this is great. Let's be in our entire lives. Thank you. We'll just be over here waiting.
For,
watering our plants
and health insurance to run out. It's fine.
Correct. It's great. It's totally fine. It's all going really well.
Watering plants and feeding my cat. Like these are also joys.
Yeah, your cat's loving this. Okay, let's do Mulan Vogue on Instagram says, any onstage mishaps or fails you witnessed or experienced? Let's since their name is Mulan Vogue, let's put this in the scope of Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
any onstage?
I mean, we had to hold the show for like set malfunctions before.
Okay.
I was on for one of those moments, and I was in the on the catwalk, ready to sit to get into the holding position for going down for diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
But it had, okay, sir, no, not going to go on again.
Mozart's like, speaking of on-screen mishaps.
He's like on the trapeze. What is, yeah. But thank God we had held when we did, because otherwise I would have been oh my God.
I want to show you what's happening with my dog right now. This is my life.
Oh, B.
Like, dad gets on a computer and he's like, I'll see you in an hour.
Oh no, Mozart's like, you're not paying attention to me. I'm gonna climb the wall.
Correct.
On your shoulders and do a high jump.
Correct. Feels right. Feels really right.
Anyway, so I was stuck on if it had been called any later, which thank you, kudos to our stage management team. They're so excellent at what they do. But otherwise I would have been sort of on the trapeze waiting for 20 minutes.
Crazy.
There's other like silly things like, bottles and chandelier being thrown and missed, or things in the audience, but nothing really crazy, I don't think. See?
Speaking of crazy, this is the craziest thing that's happened, really.
Hi, bud.
Mozart's like, I don't understand what we're doing here. I don't understand why you haven't talked more about me yet.
Look at the camera.
How old is Mozart?
Mozart is a year. Okay, now he's just gonna trapeze. He just wants to do the trapeze. This is not gonna end well for you, but can you get down?
It's gonna be really great.
I got him a year ago. I think he's a Halloween baby-ish.
Wow.
So a year.
Is it the best thing that ever happened to you?
I'm going to be honest and tell you, yes. I mean, I love animals. I would have a million of them. I sort of wanted to get a dog at this point in time, but he fell into my life. And I felt so badly about it at the time because I was in rehearsals. I was on, at that point, Karen wasn't doing 8 shows. So I was, doing the Tuesday shows. And I was in rehearsals and he was a tiny baby, and I would just have to put him in the bathroom and like try and come and check on him. I would feel so bad. But once March 12th hit, I have never been more grateful for anything, because I was sick for like quite some time. So, he was I would have been talking to my toaster at that point. Like, it was dark. You know what I mean? It was dark.
Yes.
I'm grateful for him. I'm super codependent. It's a problem, but I think it's the same.
You're like, I'm working through it, but Mozart's helping me work through it.
We're working towards a goal together.
Good. Thank you, Mozart. I would have died long ago if it weren't for this little dog sleeping next to me.
Oh my God.
Tina Kravitz, because the Al Hirschfeld has so many dressing rooms. Originally it had 200 dressing rooms for 200 people was the original. I don't think it's as that intense now.
I was going to ask you. I saw that. What crazy things happen backstage in the dressing room?
Yeah, so are there any bad? I mean, you spend so much time as a standby in a dressing room.
Yeah. I mean, well, first off, where are all these 200?
Correct. So they're long since gone, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
And I often think like, where were they ever?
Right. So there's there must be some hidden walls and offices that
or that that we don't know about. It used to be, is it still, are there two sides of dressing rooms? Is there dressing rooms on both sides, right?
Yes.
And that's what I know it's been for the longest time.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you walk into stage door, the tower that's there is, the first floor is Danny and Sa. The second floor is Tam, Robin, and Kian. And then the next floor is, oh my gosh, look, I don't even remember. The next floor is the girls, and then the floor after, the next floor is like, there's a halfway in between floor, which is like wigs and what PT became the warm-up room. And then up above that is all of the ensemble girls and offstage company girls. And then above that are the ensemble boys and offstage company boys. And then the other side is, the other tower is Karen, Aaron, and stage management team.
Yeah. So, and you have to imagine in when these things first open, stage management, wigs, PT, none of that would have had a room. So, so like those would have all been, they would have considered dressing rooms. And I mean,
there's probably more girls in every room as well, and more boys in every room than there are now.
Yeah. Crazy. Working at the Hirschfeld, do you have any particular things that you love or don't love about working in a building from 1924? Anything that sticks out in your mind?
I mean, I love history. I mean, I remember the first time I took your tour, I was like, tell me all the ghost stories. Tell me all the most historic things.
On that day that was like 4 degrees.
It was 4 degrees. I remember we had like a thermos of like mulled wine or something. Like,
Sure.
Yeah, it was so cold. I mean, so the thing I don't enjoy is that there's no real green room. Okay. First off, who's
your life?
Mother?
Life is happening in your life right now.
I don't know that I want to answer that. I don't know who it is. There's no real green room, but our head carpenter, Joe, turned his office downstairs, who's been there for like 30 years, I believe, into sort of like a green room-ish for us. Like he calls it Joe Dega. So he'll buy snacks and candy and water and drinks, and there's a couch there, and he got a new huge fancy TV. So all the offstage company and even the onstage company, when they're not, getting changed or whatever, come down to Joe Dega. We get our snacks, or, we're able to watch the feed of the show. And that's something that's super special. It's unfortunate that we don't have a green room, but it's also magical that we are blessed with somebody like Joe, who can make that an awesome experience. And I think a lot of getting back to, was it Tina's question?
Yeah.
A lot of the fun memories that we have are in Joe's, because it's, when anybody has a debut, when anyone's debuting a new track, it's like everybody who's not on stage is like huddled in the room and like looking and cheering for whoever's on and sort of rooting on. It's those magical moments of, the theater community that I miss so much. And like, it's that kind of thing. I don't know that there's some pranking, sharing.
Sure. Of course, as always. Yeah, it's those moments that the people don't see. I think it's it's such a large but small community, and it's those moments that really are a community, and it's those moments that are like with a thing that's a global pandemic, with person to person. It's like, things like that are like, well, will we ever have those again? And of course we will. We'll eventually all be like Australia and have 0 cases. It's those moments that I think are the most special things that you don't even realize. It's just at work.
Like, it's the little making of eyes of somebody on stage, and you're like communicating something and other people don't know, and you're like, oh my God, I just dropped the thing. What am I going to do? And like all of those moments that make it so much fun.
Yeah, that's live theater, as they say.
Live theater.
You are so much fun. This was awesome. Thank you for spending a little piece of your Broadway shutdown with us on the Saturday.
I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it. Thanks for asking me.
The best way we should follow you is Instagram. That will lead to Spotify and all those things, as you said.
Yeah. That'd be wonderful.
Okay. So for those who didn't see it before, Ashley Loren at Ashley Loren Instagram, and then the link tree in her bio, Spotify, all of those. Listen to her music, her voice. If you haven't heard it, like you're missing out. So get it in your life. And when we're back up and running, I feel pretty confident that Moulin Rouge will definitely be coming back.
We'll be back.
You'll be back. So we'll have to make it a point to go to the Hirschfeld and find a date you're on and watch you kill it.
Watch us all any day you can go. Me, Karen, whoever. Yeah.
You're incredible. So good to see you again. My love to Mozart and from Velasco, from a sleeping Velasco. And thanks again. Good luck with the rest of this. And soon enough, we'll be bumping into each other on the one train on the way to work.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do that.
Yes, soon enough. You're a dream. Thanks again.
Take care.
Bye. She is one, if you've never heard her sing, like, go hear her sing. It is one of the craziest instruments that is, she just opens her mouth and this crazy voice falls out. So there's that. You start with a bass line of like one of the craziest voices that's easy and hot. It's incredible. And then you layer on top of that, you see like a really genuine, down to earth, like New Jersey girl of a human. And you can see why she has had the success she's had in navigating both of these parallel entertainment careers. She is a star, and I'm glad you got to experience a little bit of Ashley Loren in your life on this Saturday. It's a glorious, as you're seeing, it's a glorious sunny Saturday here in New York City. I hope that you're experiencing a little sun in your life. I have been busy all week working on a new set of ornaments that we are launching, I think, next week, if I can finish them in time. I wanted to give you one sneak peek that I haven't given to anyone, but since you Saturday people seem to be my diehards, I'll give you a little sneak peek. So we are making 3 ornaments. All of them are themed to what is happening in this year of 2020. We're going to do 3 ornaments every year. This is the first annual set of ornaments that we're doing that will just be available just for this moment in time. This isn't even the full ornament, but I wanted to give you one little sneak peek at half of one of the ornaments, which of course is a little Broadway street sign that is layered and 3D and very cool. So that is one half of the 3 ornaments that we're working on that I think you're going to love. I hope you're going to love. So keep an eye out for those. And then we have our Broadway Paper Crane project is still going on. And I wanted to show you, we just literally before I started this, I just got these. So I haven't even put this on Instagram yet. But someone sent in little cranes that are decorated with all kinds of stuff. One day closer to Broadway with their little street sign. And this one, it says John's Pizzeria No Slices, which is specific and I love. We are almost at 1,000 cranes, which has been our mission of sending out a little bit of paper crane love into the world, one little hopeful crane at a time. When we hit 1,000, part of the display I'm going to unveil, which at the rate we're going, I think we're almost at 950. So it should be next week. So half of the display, kind of what I'm calling a ball of fame, is I'm working on, and then the big crane display will be unveiled this spring once our gift shop is reopened and we have this whole thing. And so if you haven't sent in a crane, do that. Send that in to us. Go on our Facebook, on our Instagram. That has all the information. On our Facebook, there's a pinned post right at the top of our page, which you can see here. And then Tammy is saying, she says, where can we purchase the ornaments? So all of our stuff, all of our gifts, you should go to broadwayupclose.com/souvenirs is where you can find all of the stuff. That's where the ornaments will drop next week. All of our announcements, when a thing drops, everything is handmade by me in New York City currently during this time. So all of it is imbued with more Broadway love than you can ever imagine. So because I hand make it, we don't make a million. So things sell very quickly, which I can't tell you makes my heart very happy that you have been so supportive. So Instagram is the easiest place, the fastest way to find out all about that. And then my little hint for you is because you've all followed us here today, if you want to purchase something, I'll give you a discount code. If you put in Broadway 5, which you'll see here. Broadway 5, put that in. That'll give you $5 off any purchase of anything on our website. So check that out. You guys have been awesome. I hope you've enjoyed our time with Ashley. I hope we've been able to brighten and bring a little bit of Broadway to your Saturday. On Monday, we move forward in time. We move up a couple blocks to the northern end of the theater district for our next Broadway theater, but we have to wait till Monday to find out what that is. And in the meantime, thank you so much. Happy Saturday noon on Broadway. And we are now officially one day closer to Broadway. I love you all. Thank you so much. And I'll see you again next Saturday. Bye.